Bum ba dum ba dum ba da da. Bum ba dum ba da da. Bum ba dum ba da ba. Into a burning ring of fire. If you were listening to the podcast while you listen to this commentary on the podcast, then you would hear me singing in sync to myself and somehow failing to harmonize. And this isn't just me shitting on Johnny Cash. I'm actually gonna. Can I fast forward it? If I fast forward it, I'll get out of sync with you. But I am boring the shit out of myself, so I'm gonna do that. Let's just double tap to fast forward a bunch of times. Let's just bunch of times, and now it's just queuing up. What am I talking about? Oh, this is me making fun of my father. This is me reading the inscription on my copy of the complete works of William Shakespeare, which my father left a, if I remember correctly, grammatically incorrect inscription wishing me happy birthday. And then I did not do his voice. The voice that I did was the voice that my dad does when my dad is sounding pretentious. So if you listen to the episode and you hear that weird voice that I did like this, that's the voice my father would make when my dad was sort of mocking pretentious people. Or more honestly, when he was being totally earnest and wanted to hide his earnestness behind his stupid voice. That's the one he would use. So you now know what my father sounds like when he's doing his pretentious thing. Also, it's sort of his shitty faux Vincent Price. Oh, this is the bit where I realized I needed more content, so I just decided to read my own Facebook memories. Like, how far down the fucking rabbit hole do you go before you realize that the rabbit hole is in fact your own ass? Let's actually do that while I'm listening to my own horrific voice read my Facebook memories from several weeks ago. How about I get on Facebook? Oh, I'm on airplane mode, so I can't look. Let's make up some Facebook memories. That's what let's do. We'll make up some Facebook memories. So 4 years ago, Erik Harrison says, man, just got back from the dude ranch. Learn to lasso. Am expert lassoer now. Great. Erik Harrison from 4 years ago. Erik Harrison 3 years ago. Just caught a bunch of bandits with my lassoing skills. Holy shit, Erik Harrison from 3 years ago. Recurring theme. 2 years ago. Just received Nobel Prize in lassoing. Honored. Remembering the little people. Oh wow, Erik Harrison from 2 years ago. Erik Harrison 1 year ago. Have achieved lasso nirvana. Have lassoed God. In his throne in heaven, and climbed up there. And I'm hanging with God. Hashtag blessed. Wow. Those Facebook memories are really something. And I'm really honored for my history as a lassoman. And thank you for sharing that with me. I'm just hearing my own voice in my ear, and it is driving me absolutely batty. And this is true. I'm still experiencing the weird tinnitus, and the side effect of it is that as it fades, as it gets less intense, I hear an echo in my ear of everything I hear and say, slightly delayed. So I'm hearing my podcast played into my headphones. I'm hearing it echoed, slightly delayed. I'm hearing my own voice in my head, slightly delayed. So I'm having to listen to myself 3 times. So if you think that this fucking sucks for you, that this podcast has gone completely off the goddamn rails and you're tired of listening to it, then imagine how I feel. I am the only human being on earth listening to Erik Harrison, the podcast, three times simultaneously, and 2 of them are the same show, 1 second off from itself. So whatever pity I have for you is gone. You listened and you built me up. You built me up in your mind, and you built me up in my own mind, and I had to deliver. I had to make the content for you, because it is the only way I could know love. This is the only way I could know love, is to put this out there into the world and watch that counter go up. 1 listen at a time. Beep 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 beep, and each bip, each listen, is one more drop of love. And it's just not enough drops. 64 drops is not enough. I got 64 views on the last podcast, and this is Erik Harrison podcast. It's Saturday, February 8th, 2020, and it will always be Saturday, February 8th, 2020. It's 9:06. Post meridian time, and this is Erik Harrison. Erik Harrison makes a thing for you. He makes it good. He makes it good. It's not great, maybe, but it is still good. Taking off the headphones, for this episode of the podcast, which is the only episode of the podcast. I've been talking for over an hour without a break now, and I feel like we've really found some good stuff, some quality comedy bits. This is Erik Harrison Reviews, Erik Harrison Podcast this episode. Let's review the podcast that I'm making for you right now. And it started good. It started with establishing the bit. It's very important in comedy to establish the premise of the bit, and the premise was I was going to record all these podcasts all at once, but also I felt like there was something intimate and heartfelt in it. So like, it's my brand. The jokes, but also feelings. And that was just A+, right out the gate, A+. Erik Harrison, you can do it. You can do it, Erik. And then I started reviewing things, and I feel like that's just like, honestly, I feel like that's going back to the well, and the well is dry. Like the review thing is like, I did that Starbucks bit early on. I think it was the 2nd episode, and that was really maybe the best episode, honestly, because like it came from a place of genuine emotion, but at the same time, I feel like the comedy really connected. And then just like whenever I get lost, I just start reviewing things, and I don't think the reviews are very good. I wouldn't use my reviews to decide what to buy. I think they're dishonest. I don't think they're very functional as reviews. I think they're mostly just they're just words coming out of my mouth, an endless stream. Give me a topic, put a coin in the machine. Put a coin in the machine and pull the handle, and words come out. That's all they are. They're just a coin in the machine. And then that was a low point. And then Penelope Pencilfucker saga started strong. I felt like it started strong, and then I lost track of the kids. I think I may have had an extra Pencilfucker kid in there, and I think I may have kept confusing who the name of the oldest daughter was. So like I think sometimes Penelope was the lead, but also Penelope was her own sister, and I think narratively it got away from me. You know, like part of the thing was just like that it was off the top of the dome, but if it's only the high wire act is only entertaining if they don't fall. You know, you don't want the man to fall, because then the sheer joy and delight of the achievement is transformed into tragedy. Just the plummeting of a body into space, you know. And in a moment, a childlike piece of wonder and joy is turned into watching someone die, and their children, you know, in the audience, because it's a circus, and the circus is for children, you know. And so think about that. Think about how fucked up that is, that we take children to the circus, which is, and then make them watch what is effectively, you know, this is how fucking fucked up this is. Let's really dig into this shit. You know, a high wire act is basically a snuff film that never happens. You know, that's what you're signing up for, is watching someone not die, but not like in a triumphant kind of way, but in a Jesus fucking Christ sort of way. Like, he doesn't have to go into that danger. She doesn't have to go up there. They don't have to go up there, but they do, and they do it for you out there eating your peanuts. They do it for you, and also for the money. And that's the thing to contemplate, is that, you know, art is an industry, man. It's an industry, and it really, you know, it transforming art into commerce. You know, on the one hand, like, that's destructive, man. If you're gonna go into anything for the money, why not go into art? Because there's so little money, and it makes the art, you know, worse. But on the other hand, like, there is something to the constraints of trying to fit it within a commercial medium, you know. Like, if you could just come out and say your message, just come out and say your political message, like, just come out and say, fuck capitalism. Like, fuck capitalism, yes, I got a hard dick for that, but it's not art, you know. It's just a statement, it's just a thesis, but having to encode that idea inside of a piece of art that is itself commercial, you know, and is made entertaining and palatable. Like, there's a puzzle in that, and it can create something beautiful and entertaining and in fact subversive. Like, you can't have subversion without a thing to subvert. And so in a weird way, true freedom, I think, denies the artist their birthright of being subversive, you know. Like, it is not to say that there's no, that an artist has to be commercial to be legit, or that artists that only make commercially palatable work, that don't necessarily have an underlying thesis, are not artists, but merely that in some sense the complexity and the richness of our art comes from the systems that it must oppose, that it exists in dynamism with it. And I think if you pursue that idea too far, you come up with the idea that, like, suffering is required for good art. And I don't actually believe that. But I do believe that you need a fucking point of view, and for that point of view to be compelling, then it almost has to stand in contrast to something, you know? And that's why I'm so fucking bad in the Tennessee Williams plays, you know? Maybe I'm not bad. Like, I don't want to say bad, because, like, maybe somebody from the theater will listen to this and, like, they'll say, oh, Eric, it's bad publicity. You came and you trashed the show on your show. I didn't. I'm just saying that, like, I'm struggling out there. Like, I'm really trying to dig into it. And I think it's because, you know, Tennessee Williams has a point of view that I don't share necessarily, but I'm also not opposed to, you know? It exists, like, in this weird parallel space beside me. There's something about the time and the place for him that I don't have this frisson of energy when I encounter him. Although I will admit that maybe the distance that I have to his work, that I neither react against it or toward it instinctively, has made like exploring it kind of interesting and fun, because it's a new, almost alien way of thinking to me. That it really is an honor, to be able to make a thing, even if it's not good, even if it's only listened to by 64 people. It is an honor to put something out in the world, and probably the best artists are people who don't think of it that way, who have freedom from these notions of honor, who don't have reverence for the work, who just make and make and make. I don't want to be one of those people, but I'm not. I think I'm too aware of how long I spent not making things, how long I spent kind of in the wilderness trying to figure myself out, and what a journeyman and a novice I am to really have that freedom. I don't approach my work with any confidence, but sometimes with brashness, which overcomes it, And so the only tool I have is to make a lot of stuff, to make, to be in more shows than I can handle, and write shows constantly, and make a radio show, but also make a podcast, and to just see what happens when you dig as deep as you possibly can go, when you drain the entire well dry, just pump and pump and pump, and until there's nothing left, and then whatever is underneath that is the thing that you genuinely have to offer the world. And it may not be crafted, it may not have shape yet. There's technique you can apply then, but it's true. It's raw material. It's not cliche. And if it is cliche, it is at least earnest and sincere cliche. It is not made of the things that you're supposed to make things out of, but only made out of the things that you have left. And if that means that you go from making one podcast a week with no preparation to preparing it and trying to finesse it, and when that doesn't work, you just go, well, we got to dig deeper. We've got to make 5 of them in a row. We've got to go for as long as we can vocally keep it up. Then you have to. And if that means leaving the Penelope pencil fucker saga on a cliffhanger, then so be it. That's whatever is left here at the end is all that was really there at the beginning. Just yourself. Thank you for listening to Erik Harrison, a podcast by Erik Harrison. Thank you for saying nice things even when it obviously sucked, and for encouraging me in all the things that I do. Next week, presumably, we'll be back to whatever a regular episode is. I thought kind of what would happen is I would just be deranged at this point that I would just babble incoherently, which I guess that I did. And that, the joke would be that I would be interrupted by the clock, and we would laugh, ha ha, the alarm goes off that I set. And then I'd sing the theme song that I started an hour and a half ago. And that would be it. And that you would go on this journey with me for 5 episodes. And what happened is, one, I checked my phone and I realized we're pretty close to time, but not right on time. So we're not going to get interrupted by the alarm, which takes that joke out entirely. 2, I really did kind of go on an unhinged rant there. And so that stopped being comedy and just became kind of real. And number 3, and most importantly, I forgot the theme song that I opened the episode with. For you, it was 5 days ago. For me, it was 90 minutes ago, and I genuinely don't remember. Like, that was going to be such a good callback. I'm just failing to stick the landing here, assholes. I'm so sorry. That would have been a great fucking callback if in episode 5 we ended with the theme song we began on. But I don't remember what it was. So let's write a new one. Let's write a new Erik Harrison, a podcast theme song. And it goes like this. It goes, Erik Harrison, a podcast. It's a podcast about Erik Harrison. Erik Harrison, a podcast. It's a podcast about Erik Harrison. It's got reviews of things, reviews that you need, reviews that you don't need. It's got Pauline and the other pencil fuckers, primarily Penelope Pencil Fucker. It's Erik Harrison, a podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody.